just 7 games, Josh McDaniels is 2-7. In
2-5.
just 7 games, he's had to meet with Mark Davis after the Titans game, and
go to the principal's office.
Mark Davis has felt the need to issue a statement through one of the guys that he goes to issue statements, Vincent Bucksignori.
He has a guy for that.
He's got a guy for that, and it's Vince. And Mark Davis said, from Vince, just to clear anything up after some report surfaced today, this is from Raiders owner Mark Davis. Josh McDaniels is our head coach and will be for years to come. When you have to not once but twice, as a billionaire owner, pop your head up and let everyone know the status of your head coach, something's awry. Now, this is a strong statement, and I guess it's a good statement that he's publicly backing his head coach. Well, remember when Joe Rogan got in that N-word problem and they tried to cancel him and he missed a pay-per-view, and he did that video and he said, I'm not racist. I was taking on cons, blah, blah, blah. And he ended it with something very poignant. He said, I'm not racist, but if you have to come out and tell people you aren't, you fucked up, right? If you have to have your owner come out publicly and say, the head coach is our guy, you fucked up, right? Like that. Things aren't going well, right? If we were 7-0, Mark Davis would be like, nope, don't worry, Josh McDaniels is our guy, right? Like that wouldn't be a thing.
No, for sure.
So I'm wondering, not what would you do, not what would I do, but would the owner of the fantastic franchise, the Silver and Black, Las Vegas Raiders, that owner, Mark Davis, do you think he would fire Josh McDaniels after 1 year? Is it possible that it could be a one and done after this 2-5 start?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Look, there was rumors swirling around Gruden for a couple of years, his first couple of years, because we're like, dude, this team sucks. They're drafting and all this other shit, right? Mm-hmm. Mark Davis never came out and fucking backed him. There were freaking rumors for years they're going to trade.
Yeah, he did. No, he came out and backed Gruden publicly. Yeah. I remember.
Not like this. I don't know, man.
It was exactly like this.
Look,
like a media member.
And just like the Joe Rogan thing.
Not 7 games into year one.
Just like the Joe Rogan thing when he came out and said, I'm not racist. Mm-hmm. I believe him at his word that he isn't. I believe Mark Davis at his word that he wants Josh McDaniels to be the head coach of this team for years to come. Now, is there certain things that can change that? Sure there is. If he pulls a Gruden and does some stupid shit, if his team just revolts on him and he just he can't handle it, if he implodes, which I don't see happening, but there's certain things that can happen to make him change his mind. But also you have to take a look at this. You can't be bouncing around from coach to coach to coach, man. It's not a good look, and you're not going to get the highest quality coaches to come in because they're not going to want to be bounced after a year because you bounced the last 2 guys after. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you do have to have some foresight and some long-term planning as well, and you do have to be patient. And I think that when Mark Davis signed up for that Ziegler McDaniels package, it was a long-term thing. It wasn't a make this happen right away.
I think every head coach, not every owner every time. Like sometimes you have a bridge coach, right? When you got your eye, like Dallas is just waiting for Sean Payton to come back, right? Like there's certain situations like that, but usually,
I think Sean Payton might go to freaking Chargers, bro. I'm telling you right now.
But like that's my point. Is like little tiny. God, that would suck. I hope Brandon Staley would suck in with the Chargers.
Brandon Staley has already buried himself, dude.
Dude, he had so much media equity. Like he had so much media equity, and he just. Dude, the head coaching in the AFC West,
nice hair,
Andy Reid, and then everyone else.
Also ran. It's like he got Staley had that nice hair, that big smile. Hey man, I'm a young guy and I'm hip.
Nathaniel Hackett had to hire a babysitter after week 3.
I told you from the very beginning that guy was trash.
Dude,
I told you from the very beginning,
dude. Everyone they hired him to try to get Aaron Rodgers. When they get it, there's like, oh shit.
when he was oogling fucking Wilson's Ruffles wife, bro. Like I'm like, come on, man, this guy's not gonna fucking pan out.
Let's say the Raiders go 4-13. McDaniel's still the coach next season. Do you think Mark Davis would?
Yeah, I think so.
An implosion that bad?
The only thing that I see happening is if like all the players just kind of like just shut him out, and it's just
like what happened in Denver.
Like a toxic environment there, and like what happened with the Nets, right? Like with the Brooklyn Nets, like everyone just started shutting out the coach. They just didn't listen to him. They if they start getting blown out every single game, okay, that's different. But I don't. First off, I don't see this team ending that poorly. I think that
it would be unbelievable if arguably the best locker room in football, like last season, like they overcame more than any team has ever had to, right? Like such a durable locker room. If McDaniels manages to lose that locker room in one season, right? Like it would take. Yeah. I'm with you. I think a bad record. I think Mark Davis is going to look at like, look, well, one, just purely financially, we don't know what his deal is, but there's always we know it's a pretty decent.
You're still paying Gruden, right?
Time wise, and a buyout after year one, it's got to be so expensive. Like it's got to be. Now Mark Davis isn't poor anymore now that he can fill Allegiant Stadium up with the most expensive ticket in football, but. Like that's a big, like the money he'd have to pay Josh McDaniels. We don't know what that number is, but it has to be systemic. If his contract looks anything like a coaching contract in any form of football, it's 8 figures.
It's thick. It's a thick buyout.
It's girthy, right? It's a girthy buyout. So that's one big part of it.
Also, like the message you're sending to other coaches coming in, like, hey, you don't get any leeway. If you don't win right now, you don't get a second year, and like that's not a good precedent to set.
But do you want to blow out the message you send your fans too? Like, this guy took over a 10-win playoff team, wins 4 games, and we're still going to keep him? Like,
I want to address that. I want to address that right now because you keep saying a playoff team, like every single playoff team gets better the next year. The way it's set up, a little less than half the teams in the NFL make the playoffs, right? A little less than half. Okay. So that means
32.
Yeah, a little less than half. And there's always major turnaround, right? Major turnaround there's a couple of the teams that we're going to make the playoffs, maybe like 3 or 4. There's usually like 4 spots up for grabs. A new division winner and a couple of wild cards, right? That's usually what you see. So this thing, you took over a playoff team. Like, well, you know what? You have to take a look at the roster and what was actually there, and the fact that we won 4 overtime games last year. And I understand. Oh yeah, they're resilient, this and that, but there's players on the other team too.
My point is, and you agreed with me last season when we talked about this, is like normally when you come in with a whole new GM, whole new coaching staff, you're taking over a 3-win team, right? You're taking over a team that's been terrible. This is one of the best teams in recent memory that got a new coaching staff. Now, maybe they got right to your point. Oh, they got lucky, or maybe they overplayed themselves. Like that could all be true, but this is still a much better team than new head coaches normally take over. Right? We can agree on that.
I can agree on that, but also you have to agree that we're not getting blown out except for 1 game.
And if I'm Josh McDaniels, that's my case. Is like, hey, Mark or Mr. Davis or bro or whatever he calls him, right? Bro, we're this close every time. We're 1 good linebacker away from winning this. We're 1 right tackle away from being 5-2, or right. Like that would be my pitch if I'm Josh McDaniels. Is like,
I think Mark Davis knows that, man.
And the point differential is not that bad. Even after getting blown out, dude. Like -16, something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we were +8 before we getting blown out. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, we were in every game, so I can understand, like, look, and usually when a head coach loses a locker room, it's like week 14 or week 15, right? Because again, these players, they don't want to put bad tape out there. And if they're getting blown out every single week, that means they're putting bad tape out there. And they're like, dude, let's just put it all on the coach because we've already been putting bad tape out there. It's not going to happen soon if it does.
Now, if anyone can make something turn south immediately, it's Josh McDaniels. He was fired in Denver after 28 games. And remember, that was after starting 6-0. Like everyone's like, this is the best hire ever. Everything's great, right? Like he was able to lose that locker room and have things fall apart in 22 games, right? Like 6-game win streak. Like fucking, you should be flying, right? And we're just like, oh, this is like how he could be the meanest, angriest motherfucker on planet Earth. But if you're 6-0, you're like
winning.
It's
yeah, it's okay.
Who cares? Like we're winning, right? So that's my point. Is like I am so baffled by Josh McDaniels. He has every single trait of a great head coach. Offensive mind, born and raised football. Like you never hear Patriots players bash him ever. Like Tom Brady, like adored him. He's got every single trait of a good head coach, except the record.
Yeah, the thing that you hear the most out of players when they talk about Josh McDaniels is prepared. He's prepared. He has an answer for everything, and he's right. He has an answer for everything. So how do you lose a locker room quickly? Is you do what you're saying that Ziegler should have done and blame the players as far as, oh yeah, they're just not any good.
No.
That's how
I said he said exactly what he's supposed to. My point is, it's our job to see through it as damage control. There's the difference.
It doesn't mean that what he's saying is false because it's also true, like you said.
Yeah.
So the way that you can keep players involved and invested is by showing them the mistakes that are being made and how easily they're fixed. Ultimately, I can show you all I want how to do something, but you have to go out and execute. Like, for example, I'm running. It's fucking nuts. I have 7 fucking fighters fighting on the same goddamn card. That's crazy. I don't know if you guys can appreciate how much work that is on that night. RJ knows. It's
like Jackson Winklejohn in their prime at a UFC.
It's freaking crazy, dude, having all those people fighting in one card. Anyway, I'm running strength and conditioning, right? And I'm doing this exercise with the Bulgarian bags, the big heavy Bulgarian bags. You know what they are, right? So I'm showing them how to do this exercise with the footwork and everything, and I'm actually doing it, and I'm actually showing them, here's what you do, boom, this way, and they're doing it all fucked up, and they're hitting their knees, and they're like, oh, it's landing on their head and all this shit. I can show them all I want how to do something. They have to go out and do it, and sometimes, like with the fighters, it just took a couple of reps for them to get it right, and then it's still not perfect with some of them. With some of them, they picked it up right away. But it takes time for you showing them what they're doing wrong, especially when they haven't been taught that way before.
Well, and again, isn't that what I think what separates the best head coaches from others is
the teaching,
closing that gap, making it relatable. Like I don't know if you remember the video of it's kind of adorable when John Gruden was like trying to get Carr to be better in the pocket, like, hey, this is when you run. I want you to run here. I want you to wiggle here. And he's fucking his fat ass, like 55-year-old ass, is like chasing him. He's like, go, run. He's like holding on to his glasses. And he's like going after him. I was like, that's good coaching. That's like, here's the urgency. Here's me being a part of it. He can just say, hey, when you see this, run that way. But no, Gruden's out there, glasses flying everywhere, clipboard in hand, getting in his face, being a part of it. One, he loves football. I'm sure he enjoyed every second of it, but I think that's infectious. And I think, that helped Carr be so much better in the pocket than he'd been prior, right? Things like that. I think if I could point to anything, I've never been Josh McDaniels' locker room, but if I could guess, I think that's what he's missing. I think he's missing the get in there with them, make them, teach, not teach them the why, show and be a part of the why. Like Gruden was like, imagine I'm Chandler Jones,
be involved,
right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I can think of. Because like I said, like we do this Josh McDaniels versus Derek Carr thing, you and me all the time, and I hate it because I think Josh McDaniels has, again, every single trait of a good head coach. On paper, it's like he's got it: resume, background,
knowledge,
everything.
Experience.
But he loses. He just can't win as a head coach, and it's something intangible. That's all I can think is it's something intangible, whatever that is. But it's something important. It's something that's we can't brush off. He's like, well, he's got it all. He'll figure it out. Like, I hope so. And he said all the right things, right, leading up to this. That's why I'm still optimistic for the future. But it's like that tangible thing is not a small deal.
And the players did too, man. What was Carr and Adams saying? Hey, he sat down. He talked to me about the system. What do you like?
Loved hearing that.
It's like, okay, well, where is it?
Players are buying in. It sounds like players are buying in.
Yeah, man. And look, he hasn't lost his locker room from what I'm hearing. These players are upset. They're not checked out. It's a big difference, and you can tell. So that bodes well, I think, for Josh McDaniels when a group that is looked at to be this talented has having this bad of a stretch can still be invested and not checked out and still be even, blaming themselves. What did Davante say? We have to go out and make the play.
Which is why I thought this was the best locker room for Josh McDaniels, a locker room that keeps themselves. They keep themselves in check. They keep themselves accountable. They clearly handle some of the worst adversity a team can. Like, I thought, okay, like, even if Josh McDaniels hasn't overcome those issues that made him fail in Denver, the culture of this locker room seems like something that's not as big of an issue because they can kind of do it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Look,
it's something. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Maxx Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.